Welcome, Joslyn Center Facebook Live fans. My name is Jack Newby. I'm Executive Director here at the Joslyn Center. Welcome to our Friday interview show. Before we get into the interview portion, just want to let you know some of the things that are coming up here at the Joslyn Center. We have a holiday coming up, and it's a new holiday, and that is Juneteenth. Juneteenth is a celebration regarding when the slaves in Texas learned about the end of slavery. It's celebrated on June 19th. The Joslyn Center has chosen to honor and celebrate this day, so we will be closed on June 20th in observation of Juneteenth. So that's a new holiday that we are observing, and just wanted to let our members know. Also, starting on this month, June 1st, our Go for Life exercise program at 8 o'clock, led by Jose, is now going 5 days a week instead of 4 days a week. And so that's an extra day of exercise with Jose, and he's a great instructor, and I'm sure you'll enjoy that class. Also check out our website at joslyncenter.org, and you can see our full calendar, and our program director has added descriptions and more information about those classes. So if you click on them on the calendar, you'll find out a lot more information. Also check out our wellness center for upcoming brain boot camp. That's a 2-session course, and people really love that course because it teaches you memory tricks and things about brain health, and really helps improve memory and how to keep your mind active and engaged for years ahead. And there's scientific proof, it's from the UCLA Longevity Center, that it helps prevent cognitive decline in adults. So it's something to be really, we encourage you to participate in that class. So check our website for that, or you can call the Wellness Center at 760-340-3220, extension 117, and talk to our staff there, and they will be happy to schedule you for that class. And I think I frankly need an update on that. So this is Interview Friday, and today we have an interesting interview, and it's with Justin Aguilar, and Justin is a volunteer here at the Joslyn Center, and he's going to talk about his experience volunteering, but also the importance of intergenerational relationships and how our younger generation works with and could work and understand our older population. So Justin, now's the cue to turn on your camera and sound, and we'll get going. There you are.
Good morning, Jack. How are you?
Background. What is that?
It is caprese salad, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're bringing that in today for us for lunch, is that it?
Yes.
Okay. So how are you today?
Pretty good. It's finally Friday, so can't complain.
It is Friday, yes. So you're a volunteer here at the Joslyn Center. How long have you been doing that?
Since January of this year, actually.
Okay. And you work at our front desk. What are some of the challenges that you hear most from the seniors that come in here or call at the front desk?
The biggest one, and the biggest one that actually sticks out, is being sociable and being able to connect, and trying to figure that out and find a way to do that.
So they're calling the Joslyn Center because they're trying to find out a way to become more involved and more active.
Yeah. So the majority of the calls that I have received is either about which current events are going on at the center, or how can they get involved, or do they come to sign up? How can they be a part of, X, Y, and Z?
So do people relate back to COVID and their process now and kind of coming out of that isolation? Is that one of the things they're looking for?
I would say so. And personally, it's been kind of like the same for me. It's I think it's kind of the same across for everyone. We were shut in place for so long, and now that we can go back out again, it's kind of like where am I? Who is everyone? Because you don't know how to engage properly anymore, especially the ones that are more at risk. They definitely became more shut-ins because of coronavirus 19. So re-engaging is, has been a hot topic, it seems.
Yeah, I think we're all experiencing that regardless of our age. I call
Yeah.
it post-COVID stress syndrome. And you're right, for seniors, who were much more at risk of serious consequences from COVID, they will and still remain a little hesitant to come out and get engaged. What are some of the things that people are telling you that the challenges they're facing?
To get engaged?
Yeah.
Um, really, the biggest one that comes to mind is just how to actually reintroduce yourself. Because a lot of times, what I've noticed just from like at the front desk, someone will come into the front desk and someone will already be there and they kind of forgot who they were. Like they saw them already like a year ago at the center, but there's that loss of connection because you didn't see them weekly or daily, that you kind of have to reintroduce yourself to everyone and reestablish who you are and reestablish these like friendships and connections because it was lost for so long.
Yeah, it's kind of that learning how to re-engage.
Yeah. I mean, especially for me, it's been, we moved down here a little over a year ago in the middle of the pandemic. And now that things are going back to normal, especially now, it's like, how do we make friends? How do you connect again? How do you find your clique again?
And that's something I think, spans the generations. And I think it's something that we all have in common as people. And sometimes we forget that. And so I'll state the obvious: when someone walks in and sees you,
Yes.
you're a younger face than they might ordinarily be accustomed to seeing. And I want to say, great background. It matches our Joslyn color.
It does actually, doesn't it? I just realized that, yeah.
So what attracted you to volunteering at a senior center as opposed to another organization where there are people more your age, let's say?
Well, for starters, I was taught to respect my elders. That's the number one. And two, I was always taught you can learn so much from just being a part of their lives, even as small as working the front desk, once or twice a week. You can learn so much from just listening, stopping and listening, and the wealth of knowledge that the members have to offer and to share. I will probably never learn on my own in my lifetime. And that's the biggest thing. They put in the work. So now let's stop, listen, and let's like appreciate what they've been through and actually believe what they say. Because, speaking from me, at times I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen, or I can't believe that actually occurred. But it's more of they've been through a lot, right? They have that wealth of knowledge to share. And by volunteering with the seniors, it's opening that door for me again to connect again and actually learn from them, learn what to do, what not to do, and keep that in mind as I, go about my day.
So is that a lesson to be learned by our younger generation? Because so many older adults, and since I am one, a lot of times you can be out and you're invisible. So
Yeah.
what is that something that you observe as well?
Yeah. And it's almost, I don't want to say depressing, but to some extent it is. I've noticed that a lot of seniors nowadays becoming kind of like faded off into the background. They get kind of lost and kind of forgotten, which is, just not okay, really. I believe we talked the other day where it's, especially the ones that live in the valley, they come here to retire. So a lot of their families don't live here. A lot of their relatives and the people that they've known don't really reside here. So it's for a younger generation to connect and to take time out of their day to sit down or even work with them for even just an hour. That goes further than anything that you could believe. I mean, just the smiles on their, on their, just the wide smiles and just the appreciation in their eyes. You can see it. And it brings me a lot of joy to see that and to know that I'm doing something with my time to give back and to show that I'm here, I'm listening, and I can spend probably 20 hours just speaking to you. So grab the coffee and let's go.
So what in your life kind of led you in this direction to appreciate the value, if you will, of what life experience and older adults can offer?
It was for sure my grandparents. I spent a lot of time growing up with them. They are my idols, they are my everything. And they taught me to be present in the moment. They taught me to not only respect seniors, but just respect everyone in general. And they instilled that sense of purpose on me and that sense of, what you give, you get back, essentially. And that stuck with me throughout this whole entire life.
So do you have any story, some particular person that came to the front desk and their story stands out to you?
There is one. He is a new member, and he came into the front desk actually with, I believe, was with his aide, his care aide, I believe, nurse. And the sole purpose, and I absolutely love this. Like, I still like kind of like, I don't laugh about it, but it just kind of makes me smile. The sole purpose for the reason why he wanted to join was for the every Thursday meeting for the singles. That was the sole purpose, because he wanted to meet somebody. And I'm just thinking, I forget that is needed. Like, it sounds weird of me to say, but like, I forget that just because you're of a certain age doesn't mean you can stop dating and stop putting yourself out there. And to hear that, I was just like, oh my God, like, I kind of love this. Like, the sole purpose is for you to join and to meet and to come to this social event every Thursday to try to find somebody. Like, I love that.
Well, that's a real lesson, that I think we could all learn, and particularly, we're talking about intergenerational interaction, is that, we talked earlier, a lot of times people become invisible, yet that need to socialize or that need to make friends or even date is kind of a universal need.
Yeah. And one of the things that I've been told is once you stop moving and stop being active, you slow down a lot. And what I mean by that is keep putting yourself out there, keep being involved, get active. No matter how small it is, even if it's just going to a bingo once a week, like that in itself can improve quality of life 20-fold. I mean, I'm 32 and I know that like I like my, me time, but I also crave that social and that putting myself out there aspect at times. And it's good for you, especially as you age. It's, if you stop moving, you die. And that's just, you got to keep going. And the Joslyn Center actually, like, that's one of the big things I hear a lot is how much goes on at the center and how involved anyone can be. I mean, there's always something going on. There's times where it's a madhouse, but it's a madhouse in the most perfect way, because it's amazing to see so many active and like wanting to be a part of a greater whole, essentially. And I love it.
Well, you've touched on something that there's actually research on, and it's vital that you know it struck me when I read this, is that loneliness and isolation among seniors, older adults, can have the same adverse health consequences as smoking about a pack of cigarettes a day. And when you really think about that, it's how can sitting at home watching Judge Judy have those sorts of adverse impacts? But they really do. They slow you down. Your heart rate isn't moving, so it's not keeping you healthy. You're breathing. I find personally, and I won't repeat what we talked about earlier. I'll be 69 in a couple of months, and I find out, myself, if I'm not active, if I'm not going to the gym or doing some sort of exercise, I'm stiff and sore and cranky. And so I think that's something, again, that through the generations, and that older adults can learn from people your age, that staying active is important to keep you young. And again, that's one of those universal things, like you mentioned earlier, after coming out of COVID. You feel isolated, and you know what the impacts of that isolation does to you, mentally and physically.
Yeah. I mean, my grandfather, he's 79, 80, 81, somewhere around there right now. And he still gets out there and landscapes every single day. He does not stop moving. And this man has survived 2 heart attacks. He gave his kidney to his wife. I mean, he's been through the ring, and he's still going at it strong. He's going to probably outlive me, I swear. Like, mark my words, he's still going to be there whenever I'm like in my 80s, because he just does not stop.
You talked about the influence of your grandparents. What is the biggest lesson that you learned from that?
Really, I mean, the biggest thing, just from listening to them, and I will admit, as I was in my younger days, I was a little hard-headed. I didn't quite listen all the time, and I kind of regret not, because now I'm wondering, there's little pieces that I could have still retained. But the biggest thing I've learned from them is just what you put out and what you give is what you get back. So why not put out your fullest that you possibly can? And that kind of ties in with me being at the center. I'm giving back to not only the senior community, but just the community as a whole in some way. And what I get from that is my friendships and my connections now with not only the staff at the center, but also the members. I mean, there's one volunteer, Fran. She's my buddy. Like, she's my buddy now. I have to see her, speak to her. Like, she's just a fantastic person, just as an example. And it's that connection that brings value not only to my life, but also to theirs. And it's kind of like I can teach them how to stay active, and that being a senior, age is only a number. Being a senior there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with your age. Like, it shouldn't stop you from doing the things that you love and the things that you want to do.
And that's one of the things, there's so much stigma out there about even the word senior and growing older. And I think, what you're telling us and what your experience is number one, there's really not a lot of difference in how people feel and how people interact, and their own personal fears and things inside us that hold us back. It's the same as whether you're 32 or 72.
It is. And no matter what goes on in the world, like, I mean, COVID, as an example, it took out even the youngest in a sense of it affected everyone mentally, physically, and emotionally. It drained everyone. I don't care how old you are or how young you are, it affected you in some way. And to go back to what you said about the stigma of the word senior, it's not a stigma in my eyes. Like, I can't wait to be that age. I'm not gonna lie, 'cause that's like I said before, it's my selfish error. Like, I can do the things I want to do. I won't have, I can relax, wake up at 10. I don't, there is no time limit on what I want to do. Like, there's the years that you should be able to just do and live how you want. So that way you can really look back on your life and be like, yeah, this was a good life lived.
That's one of the things I try to tell people about the Joslyn Center. It's an opportunity to do the thing you've always wanted to do. I just was talking with someone recently, and they said it was in one of the senior living communities, and they said, a group of people wanted to go skydiving, and so they went skydiving. And a previous interview we had was about someone that's called Go Jump, and he does kind of bucket list things. So you're right, it really is, we spend our younger years working our tails off. And the statistics aren't very happy, especially for men, that when they retire, the life expectancy is shorter, and so we have to take every moment.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lesson that we can learn from the younger generation, and also something that we try to provide to our members. So what you mentioned Fran, and
Yeah.
Fran is kind of an institution here at the Joslyn Center, and we probably shouldn't mention her name, but Fran is here. This is, I think, kind of what keeps her going.
Yeah. I mean, it's that engagement. I mean, I can only imagine what my grandfather's life would be if he stopped. It would never happen, thankfully, but he would quickly nosedive. It would, it's the effects on just even, I mean, okay, so as an example, like, you are at the store, right? You're younger, you're living your best life, grocery shopping, and you don't really pay attention to the senior next to you, right? You don't really notice them at times. And I'm guilty of it. Do they need help? Are they alone? Why are they alone? Even just a simple look their direction, a smile, and a simple hi could drastically change that day around. And it's kind of like, and it's a good tool across the full board, whether it's senior or not. Treat people how you want to be treated. And if a simple smile, some random smile and oh, hey, how are you, makes you smile, why wouldn't you do that to anybody? To anyone else. And to get back to Fran, it's you can tell she's in her prime when she's at that front desk. She owns that front desk. That is her desk. That is not the Joslyn Center's desk. That is hers. And whenever she was training me, she was, oh my God, I learned so much from her. Just about the front desk, about the center itself, and just even her background. And obviously I can't speak for her, but I hope just by being able to do that helps her in a sense of brings her that joy and that sense of purpose again. And because I know I greatly appreciate her, and I greatly appreciate her, I don't want to say scolding, but getting on my case about how I pick up the phone. Because there for a while, I answered the phone in front of her, and she she told me how it should be done. So, and she gets excited about it. And I absolutely love it. Like, it makes me so happy to see that.
Yeah, I think, from Fran and from other, at the front desk and how you answer the phone and all of that, it is treat people how you would like to be treated, empathetic to the call or the situation they might be in. So I want to say, first of all, it's great seeing you as a volunteer here. I think there are lessons to be learned in both directions, and you kind of are the illustration of the importance of intergenerational and not letting seniors and older adults become invisible.
Yeah, it's they have done their time. And just like you said, they've worked their ass off. They put in the time. Now's their time to be selfish, to be treated. I mean, it's just basic human decency, really, at the end of the day. But also at the same time, it's, you don't know what they've been through. You don't know their struggles and their pains. You don't know their rise and their falls to get to where they're at now. And by not making them invisible and by paying attention, it gives them that chance to tell their story, to speak up, to be in a better place mentally, emotionally, even physically. And that in itself is pure gold. I mean, I could listen to them all day without getting bored. Like, all day.
Well, that's a great thing for all of us to remember, is that, someone that walks through our door or someone that we may run into in the grocery store, we don't know what they're going through. We don't know what they've been through. And so that empathetic approach that you take is really, so valuable. And I think it's a lesson that both younger and older can learn and think about, especially during these times as we're navigating the unknown of emerging, hopefully, from COVID. That's one of the things. We never know what's going to happen tomorrow with that. So I really want to thank you. You shared some really interesting things. Any thoughts you want to leave us with?
The Joslyn Center is an amazing place, from the staff to the members to just like volunteers and even sponsors and the partnerships that are involved. And I'm always impressed every time I go in there. I mean, Melanie, she keeps programs like boom, boom, boom. I mean, my grandparents lived 5 minutes, well, 2 blocks away from one, and it was only open 2 days a week. And to think what good that could have done if it was open every single day, like the Joslyn Center. I mean, who knows what it could have been like, but it's very impressive. And more people need to be involved, both young and senior. There is no excuse. There really isn't.
Well, I want to thank you. And you just reminded me when I share this sometimes, what people say, what got you involved with senior centers? And my parents had been married about 50 years. My dad passed away, and my mom was lost. Not only did my dad pass away, but unfortunately, when you get to that age, your friends that you've had for a lifetime either pass away or move away because they're going back with family or something like that. And she was lost, didn't know what to do, and was falling into depression and illness and that sort of thing. And she found a grief recovery group at her local senior center, and just became so involved. And it really turned her life around. And for the last years of her life, she was involved in that senior center constantly. And it changed her life. And that, to me, I saw, wow, that is an amazing outcome for someone who was falling into the depths of despair, to be volunteer of the year at her local senior center. So, there really is a lot to learn, and I'm really glad that you're here as a volunteer. You can share with us some of your experiences and how you perceive, because I'm sure there are times people walk in and see this young person at the desk and they kind of
They come back like,
yeah.
Was there something better to be doing? Yeah, it's this.
So again, Justin, thank you so much
you.
for your time today and for volunteering with the Joslyn Center and sharing some of your experiences. I really appreciate it. So,
yes, anytime.
And have a great weekend, and don't get sunburned or blown away in the wind.
Can't make promises on the first.
All right. Thank you.
All
Have
right.
a great weekend. And thanks for
You too.
joining us. And we
Bye-bye.
will see you all, our listeners and viewers, next week. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.